Hello.
You're making it darker. I don't think Miss Brown wants us to see her right now.
Hey,
I
CJ.
know.
How are you?
You turned it down. You said, well, I don't want them to see me right now. I'm gonna go dark. Nobody will notice. I noticed.
I'm being incognito.
Yeah, I know you are. I can see you right here. You doing okay?
Yes, I am doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Boy, I haven't seen you in about 8 years.
Oh. Hey,
Oh, maybe about 4 years.
maybe one.
Hi, Kimberly. It's good to
One.
see you.
Did you say
Hey,
1 year?
hey,
It's
Miss
been more.
Denise. How are you?
I'm good. Miss you.
I miss you guys too. You see, I get invited to the Moreno Valley stuff. I'm still Moreno Valley.
Well, you still in Moreno Valley, gee whiz. Good.
All right, we're gonna get started. We can ask everybody to mute.
Hello? I have a question.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nicole Brown, and I am here to do your greeting and say hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for coming far and wide to participate in our African American Advisory Council February 24th meeting. For those of you who were at our Black History celebration, thank you so much for participating and coming out and celebrating with us. For those of you who were not there, y'all missed it because it was a good time. We enjoyed ourselves, we celebrated, we were a blessing to the community, and we just want to say thank you for being there and being with us and just celebrating the community. It's a rough time. It's a rough time for our families and for our kids, and for everybody to just come out and just show their support. It meant the world to us. There are a few special groups that helped us, and I want to say thank you to them, to our board members for just always being there and supporting us. Thank you. Thank you for being the backbone to this school district. Dr. Kedziora and your cabinet, thank you. I don't know how much more I can say thank you, because when we ask to do something and we say it's for the kids, for the families, for the community, it's yes, yes, yes. So thank you. Vista Del Lago administrators, custodial staff, all the people that were behind the scenes that came and set up and worked so hard and so diligently and did so much, because without them, we couldn't have been out there all evening doing all of that work. Public information, you guys got the word out. There are a few of us and we try to spread the word as much as possible, but public information, you guys told the good news and the people came out, and we could see that with their numbers. Maintenance and operations department, once again, set up to clean up. Thank you. Campus security, you guys always make sure that everybody is safe. And so we really thank you so much for everything that you guys do. Sigma Beta Xi, y'all are sponsors, and without sponsors, how do we have things to give away? So we want to thank you. But lastly, and definitely not least, the team that I work with, starting with Lisa Broomfield and Kimberly Taylor, y'all are awesome. Y'all are absolutely amazing. Miss Taylor, when I ask you for anything that has to do with the advisory council, You are lickety split and get it in a quick minute. Ms. Broomfield, you just everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. For the rest of the ladies and gentlemen, Miss Gail, Miss Simone, all you guys. I know I'm forgetting names because I'm just going off the top of my head, but I really appreciate just working with each and every one of you. You know, everybody worked so hard, and you guys are a blessing and an inspiration. So I want to say thank you to all of these wonderful people, but to the community who showed up. Without you guys, we couldn't have done it. So thank you as well.
Oh, because I didn't see anybody out there. Okay.
Once again,
All right.
welcome, welcome. We want you guys to enjoy this presentation. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hudson.
Hello, everybody. Oh, it's so nice to see all these new faces here, all these people, 132 people. So the first thing that we're going to start off by is doing a raffle and offering some phenomenal free prizes. And we have Kim that's going to spin the wheel. If she calls a name, I ask that you guys put your information down in the chat box and to give her your contact information so you can get your free prize. So let's spin the wheel and see who we get. Cola Nelson. Thank you for registering. Everybody give her a round of applause. Thank you. Now we have another one. Let's see who the next one is. And the next one is Jamie Williams. Let's give a round of applause for Jamie. Let's see who's next. Kimberly Banks. Yes, Miss Banks. You've got a prize coming to you. Make sure to put your information down and message Kim directly with your contact information. Let's see who's next. Marissa Smith. Marissa has just won a prize. Round of applause, Nadia. Yay! All right. Let's see who the next one is.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kimberly Taylor, the African American Parent Advisory Council. And next, I would like to pass it on to Mr. Alan Long, teacher at Butterfield Elementary School.
Hello, family. It's good to see everybody, all your smiling faces. My name's Alan Long, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at Butterfield Elementary. And I'll be just presenting the goals of our African American Advisory Council. So the African American Advisory Council is a collaborative effort between key stakeholders and is committed to creating a safe learning environment that meets the cultural, academic, and socio-emotional needs of all students. I'll refer to it as the council instead of just saying the African American Advisory Council, or the AAAC, brings stakeholders of the village together to establish strong partnerships to implement strategies which more effectively engage and support the unique social, educational, emotional, and cultural needs of our African American students. The purpose of the council is to involve and engage parents, families, students, educators, and just the whole community in general in the decision-making process at the local, district, and the regional level, and to improve just the overall education of our students. And we're doing that by raising the awareness in our community about the unique situations that some of our students might face. And when I say our, I mean our African American students. And so some of the things that we address are the understanding of how our children learn, sensitive issues relating to the education of our students as well. The council is committed to ensuring that all students achieve excellence on purpose, recognizing that the parent and the family involvement plays a key role in the success of our students. There have been established APACs at every school site. I've been a facilitator of our APAC at Butterfield for 5 years now. So if there's any parents or any community members that haven't heard about the APAC, this is going to be my plug to get involved. Yes, we're still going strong even through the pandemic. So if you've never heard of APAC, it's your opportunity. It stands for African American Parent Advisory Council. So if you've never heard of it, I would encourage you to reach out to maybe your principal at your child's school and just ask them what APAC is, when the meetings are, and just get involved. And it helps so much when we have parents and just community members there. And the goals for the APAC are to, one, engage, equip, and empower parents to advocate for the academic success of their child. Two, to expand and improve the educational opportunities for our students, our African American students. Three, to ensure academic success through high expectation, rigorous and challenging curricula and instruction. Four, work to enhance and support the educational, personal, and career goals of every African American student. And lastly, five, encourage success in the regular school program through a collaborative decision-making process within the district, school level, and community. Thank you for your time, and I would like to introduce next Mr. Joshua Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joshua Taylor, and I'm a sixth grader at Vista Heights Middle School. Tonight, I would like to introduce a man who has shown his appreciation for administrators, staff, parents, and students. He attempts to make all the events happening within the district. We here in the Moreno Valley Unified School District are lucky to have such an amazing superintendent. Thank you for all you do. Dr. Kezior, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Joshua Taylor. That was very kind of you and I just appreciate it. I met Joshua when he was in kindergarten at La Jolla, and now he's at Vista Heights. It's amazing. I'm thinking, who is that talking up there, you know? It's really good to see all of you tonight, and I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I'm very proud of our school district, but I'm very proud of you. When you look at this slide here, I want you to know that you are the reason why we have much to celebrate. In 2011, when Dr. White was hired as the superintendent, and she hired me as her assistant superintendent, in 2011, the graduation rate of African American students in our district was 66.4%. And, you know, there was a lot of work to do. And it's good to reflect because we remember what it may have been like, but today we know what it can be like. And so I want to just congratulate all of you because you helped make this happen. And I want to thank Dr. White and I want to thank our school board. But I just want you to see that last year was probably the most difficult year in my time here because of the pandemic. We worried about students graduating. They had, you know, lots of things that they were dealing with. And I want you to see that the African American students in 2019 were 91.0, and in 2020 they were 91.4%. Student groups did not grow like that everywhere. And so I want you to know thank you for clapping, Dr. Fleming, because this is truly a testament to the work that you as a former school board member and others have done. But I just want to say, with all the African American parent councils and all of the support that children get, these numbers changed by 25% since 2011. And that should make you all, Gail Mosley Chandler, you should just jump up and down in your chair, because that's huge, 25%. And I want you to know that African American students in Moreno Valley Unified School District, they graduated at higher rates than anywhere in the county and in the state. And you can see that the state is at 78.8% and the county is at 89%. And even in a pandemic, the support was there, and people just did amazing things, and this is one of them. And each of our comprehensive high schools has graduation rates now well over 90% and climbing. I want you to know that Dr. White used to say, we're going to get to 100%. And when I would hear her say that, I would think, why is she saying that? But I just appreciate the faith that you all have had in our school district and how much each of you have contributed to helping make this happen, because more students are graduating. And I want to tell you something. At some of our schools, the African American graduation rate is higher than other student groups. And I just think that's phenomenal. I think it's incredible. But I'm very proud of what's happened here. So are y'all feeling what I'm saying? Because I don't see it in what people I'm looking at. Okay, but I'm just thinking this is huge. I mean, I'm crying. I'm trying not to fall apart, but this is like amazing. Amazing data, because this doesn't happen everywhere, and it's because of what's happened here and what you're talking about tonight. So I want to introduce our school board members that are here tonight, and I want you to know 4 out of the 5 are here. That's huge too. That doesn't happen everywhere, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our board president, Daryl Peden. And Mr. Peden, I know you have some remarks prepared, and are you ready to unmute and share those?
Yes, I can do that. Hello, everyone. It really is a pleasure to be here tonight. This month calls for celebration and reflection. We celebrate Black history, we celebrate the Black community, and give thanks to the trailblazers that have paved the way for so many in their fight for justice. We celebrate because Black lives matter and because Black history matters. As we continue to seek a more perfect union, a more perfect school district, we commit ourselves to racial justice that has a foundation in equity and inclusion. You see, the very acknowledgement of Black history brings us further out of the darkness of racism and the structural violence that is and has been forced upon our brothers and sisters. I look forward to tonight's program as we celebrate and honor Black history, and I look forward to fighting injustice with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peden, and thank you for being here this evening. Mr. Johnson is our board vice president. And Mr. Johnson, know that you have prepared a few remarks and you're going to share them, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just a couple of things.
Thank you.
You ready for me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Ketchiori, and welcome everyone. Thank you all for gathering together tonight. We certainly appreciate it. This all with us once a year. So I like to always say, if it happens just once a year, let's please take advantage of it. Just a couple of things since about Dr. Weber. I feel as if there's a kinship between she and myself, in that she was born and raised in Little Rock, and I'm sure you all know that. Well, a little short story. I joined the Air Force at high school. I didn't really have that plan. And I certainly didn't have plans on going to Blythefield Air Force Base. You said it, Arkansas. Back in those days, a lot of things were happening, and I certainly didn't want to go there. But I'm here to tell you today that going there was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I met people that I'd never met before. Didn't know anything about people. I'm talking about integration and things like that. Now, the city was not integrated, but the military was. But I really enjoyed that, and I had met a lot of friends, and it made me change my mind about being in the military. Now, getting back with Dr. Weber, her family lived in Little Rock, as you all know, but they left there. They left the city and the state to go someplace else. Back in those days, quite a few people left because they could not take some of the things that you see today. It was just that difficult. But through all of that, she persevered, and she became the first Afro to serve as our Secretary of State. I mean, there's so many firsts about her. I'm not going to read all those things, but when I was reading her bio, I was just like so impressed. And again, I was impressed because I thought about where she started, where she came from in Arkansas. And again, you would have to live through that to understand why I'm putting so much emphasis on Arkansas. You didn't really want to be there, to be honest with you, unless you were willing to lay your life down and die, because it was just that bad. But again, I also told you that I enjoyed my time at Blythefield, but when I left Blythefield to go to England, that was my South. One more thing too about Ms. Weber, Dr. Weber, that I really enjoy reading was that her educational background. Any young girl, if you don't know what you want to do or who you want to be like, adopt her. Besides your mother and your parents and your relatives. But if you want to look at a professional, take a look at her, read about her. If she could do that, any young lady that can hear my voice or hear their parents' voices, you can as well. 10, 20 years from now, they can be announcing you. So with that being said, I am ready to hear what she's got to say. I had more to say, but I'm not going to take any more of my colleague Jesus Holguin's time because he charges me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thank you for being here tonight. And then we have Mr. Jesus Holguin is our board clerk. And Mr. Holguin, would you like to say just hello to everyone real quickly?
Yes, Dr. Casera, since Mr. Johnson already took a lot of time, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Good evening. And I am so excited to be here. Always is an honor to be with the African American Advisory Council. Amazing events every single time. And the relationships that they have established over time, today is a great example. Having Dr. Weber as a speaker is just a great example of what they have done and what they continue to do. So I'm ready for her speech. And thank you so much for having us, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Holguin. And Mrs. Smith, our board member that's here with us tonight, would you like to say hello to everyone, Mrs. Smith?
Sure. Hello, I'm happy to be here tonight and to attend this event with you. Success of every student is so important to us as school board members, and we want every student to succeed and to be able to be prepared for life after high school. Part of that preparation is high school graduation. I was so happy to see the high school graduation rates for African American students and how they have just soared in the last few years. So congratulations to everyone who has participated in that. And I want to see, like Dr. White, and Dr. Kedzior, I just want to see it keep going up. So thank you. And thank you for putting on this great program for us tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith, and thank you for being here. Mrs. Brimfield, are you the next person that this is going to, or no?
I'll put up a slide. Thank you, Dr. Kedzior, and thank you to our board members.
Yeah, well, I just want to add one last thing, Ms. Brimfield.
Okay.
I just want y'all to remember this before you leave here tonight. Remember that champions achieve and others believe, because you are the champions and everyone's believing in what you're doing. Remember, I said that. I just want you to remember that.
Thank you to our awesome superintendent.
Very good.
Next, we have Maimona Abdulrahman to introduce our keynote speaker for the night.
Hi everyone, my name is Maimuna Abdul-Mu'min. I'm a current senior at Vista del Lago High School in the Middle College program, attending the University of Chicago next year as a political science major. Today I'm here to introduce Dr. Shirley Nash Weber, who was nominated to serve as California Secretary of State by Governor Gavin Newsom on December 22nd, 2020, and sworn into office on January 29th, 2021. She is California's first Black Secretary of State and only the 5th African American to serve as a state constitutional officer in California's 170-year history. Weber was born to sharecroppers in Hope, Arkansas during the segregationist Jim Crow era. Her father, who left Arkansas after being threatened by a lynch mob, did not have the opportunity to vote until he was in his 30s. Her grandfather never voted as custom and law in the South before the Voting Rights Act of 1965, systemically suppressed voting by Blacks. Although her family moved to California when Weber was 3 years old, it was her family's experience in the Jim Crow South that has driven her activism and legislative work. She has fought to secure and expand civil rights for all Californians, including restoring voting rights for individuals who have completed their prison term. Weber attended the University of California, Los Angeles, where she received her BA, MA, and PhD by the age of 26. Prior to receiving her doctorate, she became a professor at San Diego State University at the age of 23. She also taught at California State University at Los Angeles and Los Angeles City College before coming to SDSU. She retired from the Department of Africana Studies after 40 years as a faculty member and serving several terms as department chair. Before her appointment, Secretary Weber served 4 terms as an assembly member, representing California's 79th Assembly District, which includes parts of the city of San Diego, as well as several cities and communities in the San Diego region. Weber also served as a member and chair of the San Diego Unified School District and has twice served as the California elector, including chairing the California College of Presidential Electors on December 14, 2020. During her tenure in the Assembly, Weber chaired the Assembly Elections and Redistricting Committee, Assembly Budget Subcommittee on Public Safety, and Assembly Budget Subcommittee on Health. Weber was the first African American to serve as the chair of the Assembly Budget Committee. She also served as a member of the Standing Committee on Education, Higher Education, Elections, Budget, Banking, and Finance. In addition, Weber chaired the Select Committee on Campus Climate, which was created to examine and mitigate hate crimes on California's college and university campuses. The committee also explored student hunger, sexual assaults, homelessness, and freedom of expression. She formally created and chaired the Select Committee on Higher Education in San Diego County, which explored the need for an additional higher education facility in San Diego and ways to improve the quality, affordability, and equal access of higher education in the region. From 2019 to 2020, she served as chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, which consists of the state's African American legislators and has the goal of promoting equal opportunity for California's African American community. Weber broke records during her tenure by garnering extraordinary support for CLBC's efforts and its projects. Weber's genuine passion and tireless quest for equality and fairness in all sectors of life have resulted in her pursuit of reforms in education and criminal justice. Her equity-oriented legislation includes school finance and accountability, classroom safety, ethnic studies, early learners, attendance and dropout rates, quality instruction, law enforcement's use of force and body camera practices, reparations, the CalGangs database, affirmative action, inclusive jury selection and instruction, predatory lending, resources for exonerees, restorative justice, racial profiling, among others. Weber has also pursued public policy changes related to health, senior citizens, veterans, and military families. Secretary Weber is a mother of 2 adult children, 3 grandchildren, and was married for 29 years to the late Honorable Daniel Weber. She is number 6 in a family of 8 children. Her parents, David and Mildred Nash, are deceased. Her hobbies are reading and traveling. Dr. Weber, the floor is yours.
Much. I assume someone on my staff sent you that long introduction, so I'll have to tell them next time to cut it much shorter. I'm honored to be with you this evening, and I was honored to receive your invitation. And a lot of folks were surprised when I said yes, because oftentimes folks who are constitutional officers don't have as many commitments and as many presentations as I do to to communities that if I believe in some way that I can say something that will have some impact upon the parents or the administrators or the teachers, or most importantly, the parents and the kids in that district, then I'm going to do that, because education is my passion. It is the American equalizer. It made a difference in my life. And I think it makes a difference in other folks' lives as well. You know, I'm the daughter of sharecroppers, and I'm not sure if some of you know, young people and some of the parents know exactly who sharecroppers are. But sharecroppers are people who are about a half step above slavery. That once slavery ended, they struck a deal. Many of them did with landowners, because they would not sell them land and they would not sell them seed for crop. And so therefore they agreed to work for a certain amount of time each year. And at the end of the year, they would divide up the profits. Well, if you know anything or you read your history on sharecropping, the one thing you learn is that as a sharecropper, you never paid your full way. They never gave you what you were due. And no matter how hard you worked, you would still be in debt at the end of the year. And the debt in the sharecropping system was not just yours, but was really lent and given intergenerationally to your children. So that if you were in debt, they were in debt. And so my father was a very outspoken person. And despite the fact that they own land in Arkansas and work their own crops, they were forced to work other people's crops as well, because no one white in the city would sell you seed or help you with what you needed if you didn't work someone's property first. So therefore, they wanted to keep you in a subservient way. My father had worked hard that year, and in August had found himself before the weigh stations where they balance out the books, and discovered that once again, they were saying that he had not made enough money, and he knew he had. And so he got into a confrontation, because he was always going to stand up. My dad was a person who never said yes, sir, no, sir, to anyone who didn't say it to him. He said yes and no is good enough. And so as a result, he was always seen as this outspoken person, and in many ways a troublemaker. He got into a confrontation at the weigh station, and a physical confrontation, defending his right, defending the money he had earned. And as a result, he became a liability. It was known that they were going to do what they could to eliminate my father in Hope, Arkansas. And so in the middle of the night, his brothers and his father put him in the back of a wagon, took him to Texarkana, across the state line, and put him on a train for Los Angeles, where my mother's mother had moved some years before. And so as a result, he left his wife and 6 children in Arkansas. And my brother talks about, my older brother, who talked about how he was taunted by those in the city. My mother was that he had run off like all the other Negroes and left his wife and 6 children. They didn't know my father had gone to Los Angeles, gotten a job, and by December 1st, he had made sure that his wife and 6 children were on the train to California, and it's which we came to California. But my father came here because once he was going to stand up, and he did not want to have his children in a position of subservience their entire life. He also came because he knew that there was no hope in hope. There was no way that he could basically advance himself and his family in Hope, Arkansas. So we came to Los Angeles and lived with my grandmother for a while, and then moved into the Pueblos, the projects of Los Angeles. Some of you may know. And then from the Pueblos, we were fortunate enough to purchase a house on 45th and Broadway in Los Angeles, where my parents lived the rest of their lives. But my father had 2 things that were very important to him, young people. And he ingrained that in me as his daughter and his other children. Education was the key. My father was only allowed to go as far as the 5th or 6th grade. And he felt that that was the limitation, because they never let any Black boy go past the 5th or 6th grade in Hope, Arkansas, because they felt it was a waste of their time. They said, all you're going to do is work for us anyway, and you don't need to have skills to work for us. And so as a result, he never got a chance to really develop the academic skills that he liked so much. And so as a result, he made sure that all of his children went through school. All of us had to, he kept telling us over and over that education is the one thing that no one can ever take from you. That once you get it, it is yours and nobody else can take it regardless of what they do to you. He also made a promise to us, made a promise to me particularly, that if you want to go to school and you want to go and become anything you want, he said, I will drink muddy water and sleep in a hollow log. Some of you know that's an old blues song, if you want to go to school. And he made that clear that there was nothing in this world he would not do to sacrifice for his children to go to school. And so as a result, my father worked in the steel mills of Los Angeles. And it was interesting because they never in those days never got off like special days, or you could take a professional day and take a day off and have to yourself. But when every one of his children graduated from high school, my father had to take a half day of pay off to go to graduation, a half day's pay. And that's a lot when you got 8 kids. My daddy never missed a graduation. He never missed a graduation. And when he said he would go in the office, the first thing they would say when he walked in, you must have somebody graduating. And he did, one of his children. And so I say this because we, as my brothers and sisters and I, there's 7 of us still alive, and 6 of them live in the LA area. And actually, my nephew lives in Moreno Valley. But they all knew that there was nothing more important to my father than education. And that was the one thing. And the other one was voting. He felt that if you didn't vote, you had no voice. He said, even if you amass a lot of money and you have things in this life that you can keep, that you want land, he said, they can vote and change the rules and you lose everything you have. And he saw that in the South. And so as a result, as soon as he came to California, he was never allowed to vote in Hope. He came and he registered to vote in California. And my dad voted every year that he was alive. And it's interesting that eventually our family's home became a polling place. My mom worked in the polls, and eventually our school could not accommodate voting because they had to serve lunch and breakfast to kids, and they had nowhere to vote because we didn't have a rec center in the neighborhood. My mother offered our house, and my dad offered our living room. He moved all the furniture out. Every time there was an election, he never complained because he said people need to be encouraged to vote and need to have somewhere to vote. And so he believed in that. And I was telling the folks recently when I was sworn in as a Secretary of State, I said, it's ironic that I'm the daughter of a sharecropper, a person who never had a chance to vote in Hope, Arkansas. And now I'm responsible for the voting of 40 million Californians. What a change. What a difference the world makes. And so I say this because I think as we start talking about Black history and what is Black history and who makes Black history, all of us make history. My dad made history because he came to California and he fought hard for his children and for his family to have a sense of dignity and belonging. And you make history every time you tell your kids to come to school, every time you encourage them to come to school, every time you make a sacrifice for them to go to school. It is critically important. My father, he didn't know what all these degrees were. And I remember when I got my bachelor's degree, and I became a Woodrow Wilson Fellow. He didn't understand that, but it was all good. And when I finished my master's and they wanted me to go get a PhD, I was there in my early 20s. And I said, they want me to get a PhD. And he said, what is that? And I said, well, a PhD is the highest degree you can get in any particular field, any academic field. It's the highest you can go, Dad. And he looked at me and he said, let us go get it. Because he knew he was going to be a part of this process, that he was going to do whatever was necessary. He said, let us go. I said, well, it's going to take more time. He said, it doesn't matter. Let us go get it. And it's interesting because when I graduated from UCLA with my doctorate, I had not planned to go to graduation because I was tired of graduating and I didn't want to go. And I graduated in August and graduation was in June. And, my dad said, oh, I would definitely do it. He kept saying over, and I had moved to San Diego. He said, I would definitely do it. And I thought about it and I said, I'm not gonna do that. That's just too much to be done. And then I got the invitation to participate in graduation and discovered that it was on June the 17th, Father's Day. I said, oh my goodness, this is an omen. This man has worked so hard for me to go to school and now graduation is on Father's Day. And so we pretended we were going to dinner and surprised my dad and went to UCLA. And he was on seventh heaven. And I think it is important to understand that as I tell young people, people look at me and say, you're the highest ranking Black woman in California right now. You're number 3. There's the governor, the lieutenant governor, and then there's the Secretary of State, and I'm just this girl from Hope, Arkansas, this daughter of sharecropper. And how does this happen? I said, it happens because you have support systems that make it happen. It doesn't happen because the government gives you things. Every now and then they open up opportunities. But standing on the foundation of people who believe in you is critical. I went to school with so many kids whose parents wouldn't help them at all. That once they graduate from high school, they figured they were on their own. And if they lived at the house, it made them pay rent. And all these kinds of things that really are a burden to many of my friends, and they had to drop out and those kinds of things. And I looked around and I said, you know, my dad is so excited about me graduating from school, going to school, being a part of this process. The parents make it happen. I remember once I had to study for an exam, and it was a summer school exam, and there had been no tests, nothing. We had just studied. You didn't even know what to study for because it was one of these classic classes with all these people and all these theories. And so I started studying early that Friday, and the test was on Saturday. I studied all day Friday, into Friday evening, ate dinner. I stayed up Friday night until Saturday morning. And my dad kept getting up. Now, this is a man who worked 10 hours a day, went to work at 5 in the morning, and he kept getting up, passing by my bedroom. And he'd always say, "Are you still up? Are you still up?" I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I thought, oh, Daddy must have some kind of bladder problem because he's going to the bathroom too often. And it was interesting because I fell asleep about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was going to wake up in time to get to this class, leave at about 6:30 to get to UCLA for my final exam. And I woke up at about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, smelling bacon and eggs. My father had gotten up on his day off and made me breakfast. And I woke up smelling, and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "You need your strength for this test." He said, "I don't know what it is, but you need your strength." And these are the small things that I remember because they were so instrumental in me basically becoming who I am. My mother was equally supportive. She was always going to make sure that when I came home that she made whatever I liked, that she was going to make sure that certain things were in place for me when I went back to school. And it's really, really important that you parents understand how critical you are in the education and the goals and objectives of your children. You know, and you don't have, I tell people, my parents were not wealthy. We didn't have a lot of resources, but whatever was necessary, if I had to go somewhere, my dad never complained about driving us to choir rehearsal. He never complained about having to take me somewhere to buy some artwork to make my science fair projects. He never complained. His focus was on helping his children and being there for them. And he was, and my sisters and brothers were, my community was, my church was. My church participated in everything I did. If I won an award, they read it in church on Sunday morning. I went to the Figueroa Church of Christ, a big church on 57th and Figueroa in Los Angeles. They read what I did. Every award I ever received, they encouraged me every step of the way. And so that even though I have been out of Los Angeles now for 30, 40 years, when I was going in as Secretary of State, many of them were on the Zoom call because they'd heard that I was Secretary of State. Every election I've ever run in, they had a fundraiser to give money to my campaign. And they had never given money to campaigns before, they said. Every award I've ever received, they were there for me, cheering me on. When I was a student at UCLA, I had a woman who was getting like $89 a month in old age security. And she gave me $5 every month. Her special scholarship fund. She wanted to help me get through school. Sister Larry. And she did this every month. I said, that's okay. No. You need to have nice things while you're in school. And that made me very responsive to the needs of that community, to that church, to the people who basically made me who I am. And so when I get recognition, I acknowledge those individuals. But I acknowledge them today to you because you are those individuals. You are the people sitting in the churches asking kids, as I do on Sunday, what you gonna do when you graduate from high school? What you gonna do? I had one little girl, I kept asking her, and finally she said, I don't know. I said, well, have you taken the SAT? And they laughed, and she said, yeah, but we don't know how to read the numbers. We don't know what they mean. I said, well, bring them to me next Sunday. And I sat down and read this girl's SAT scores, and her counselor wasn't helping her, and her mother had never been there before. And as a result, she was going to go to community college. She ended up going, she said, I want to go where your daughter went to school. She ended up going to Xavier University. She ended up getting her degree in another degree in Washington State. And now she is a counselor and a teacher in Memphis, Tennessee. No one in her family had ever done that before. But her mother said, you kept asking her every Sunday, how you doing? What you doing in school? How's it going? Okay. And as a result, young people who want to come tell me how they doing. If they tell me one time, I said, well, I didn't do too good this semester. I said, oh, wow, well, we got to improve on that. And then I look around in the next semester, this young man is standing in my face, Dr. Weber, I want to tell you what happened for my grades this year. what did you do? And they tell me what they did. And I said, well, you know, we got to go get to McDonald's, and we got to get some coffee at Starbucks or something. Our children need us to support them and to be there for them. And I do that still to this day. I have thousands of students across the nation that I have helped at the university when I was at San Diego State. Thousands of young people who still call me for advice, ask me for assistance, folks that I've helped get through school. It is critically important that we be the support system for them. And too often the negative comes to our kids rather than the positives. And we need to basically be that force for them. You are the parents who can change the world. And my dad felt that he could. He said, I will drink muddy water and sleep in a hollow log. And I wrote an article about him in the LA Times, and they were getting ready to put it in the LA Times, and he died the night before, but the article still went in. So it's almost like an obituary of this man that would never have gotten an obituary in the LA Times. And it's called Muddy Water, Hollow Log, and a Father's Love. And it is so important that you put the stake in the ground for your kids, that they know what's important. They know what you want them to do. They know what's academically possible. And they know that regardless of what happens, you will be there every step of the way. Our parents, our communities are critical. Our teachers are critical in helping our young people understand just how powerful they can be and they can become. So I am honored that you asked me to be here this evening to talk to the parents. I think you are the key to everything we need. And it's evident by the success and the progress that kids are making at this school, because you are organized and you're there not just to complain, but to support, to push your school to higher levels, to make sure that the academic excellence is there and that your children know that this is important. And no matter what, you set the standards for them, they will be there. I once spoke at a parent conference in San Diego some years ago. And I said to parents, stop accepting C's from your children. They're not average, they're exceptional. Stop accepting C's. And if they're getting B's, start making them get A's. And it was really interesting because I was telling them that, and then a mother came up to me and said, I'm gonna go home and tell that to my kids. So the next year I was at the same conference, and the mother came up and brought her son and said, you know, when I told you need to stop getting C's and getting B's and A's, this was the woman who made me say that. And I said, what is he doing? She said, he's getting all A's and a few B's every now and then. I said, only because you told him this is your expectation and you wanted him to work to achieve it. But as long as a C was fine, for many students, that's what they'll get. They'll never be pushed further, and they won't have those goals and objectives that are there. If you tell them to get all A's and they get all A's and one B, hey, look, that is better than what they were doing. You know, and only because you motivated them to do that. So I want to encourage you as a Secretary of State whose concern is voting and businesses and economic development in the state of California, that if you want your children to excel beyond your imagination, and I know my dad is no longer with me, but I am sure that what I'm doing is far beyond his imagination. If you want them to excel beyond your imagination, then you need to give them the permission to do so and let them know that you are there with them every step of the way when they do the things that are good and that are just and that are elevating. And I just want to thank you for having me here with you again, here with you. I think I spoke at Moreno Valley some years ago when it first started. It may not have been this group, but a friend of mine teaches in this district and was principal in this district. So, I'm so pleased to be with you and so pleased to know that there are some parents in Moreno Valley, in the state of California, that I can lift up who are making differences and pushing forward. I'm gonna start watching your scores more often at the state level to make sure you're keeping it going. I don't want to have to come back in and say what happened. I want to be able to say, look what y'all have done. Look where you are. Oh my God, you are a role model for the rest of the state, and you are challenging the negative myths that are out there that our kids cannot succeed and that our parents don't care, because we do. And when we care and we express it and we put it into action, amazing things happen in our lives as a family and as our children and the things that they do. So thank you so very much for having me here. I am pleased to be with you this evening and honored that you would ask me to come to Moreno Valley. Thank you.
Can we just give Dr. Weber a hand? I mean, oh my God, Dr. Weber, oh my God. You know, good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Broomfield, Director of Categorical Programs for Moreno Valley and a member of the African American Advisory Council. I want to take time to thank our California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, for a phenomenal keynote tonight. Dr. Weber, thank you so much. We are sharing your success because we believe it takes a village. And we're so excited that you have been appointed Secretary of State. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts for taking time out of your busy schedule. We've been trying to get you for a while, but God made it happen on the right day for us and the right time. Let's give Dr. Weber another hand praise. I want to thank our Board of Education, our awesome superintendent. He's an equity warrior and cabinet for their support. We cannot do this without them. Thank you to all of our staff members. Oh, thank you to our students, our parents, and our wonderful families who have made all of this worthwhile. Our final thanks go to our African American advisory team for all of their efforts in planning this district-wide event. Now I will turn this over to Kim Taylor, who is our African American Parent Involvement Specialist, who will be doing some more raffles. Dr. Weber, I assume that you recognize Kim Taylor as one of your former students from San Diego State University. And look at her now as the African American Parent Involvement Specialist for Moreno Valley Unified School District. Thank you, Dr. Weber, for what you sold into her. That is being sold into our district, into our parents. Thank you so much again. I want to just ask our superintendent, did he have anything else he wanted to say before we go into our raffles? Dr. Weber, oh my gosh, we're going to be feeding off of this for so long. And just thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, and you all have a good night. Thank you.
Sheila, are you leaving already? Are you leaving, Dr. Weber?
I thought I was supposed to.
You can, but I just wanted to tell you thank you. You're welcome back here anytime. And when you can come visit, I'd love for you to come visit our schools and walk around and just meet people and see these wonderful children that go to school here, because they would be so inspired by your presence.
I will make sure my staff knows that. Yes.
You are welcome anytime. And you've got relatives in Tennessee and Memphis. That's where I'm from. So I'll have to get with you and figure out where they are.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you again. Take care.
Thank you so much, Dr. Weber. That it was such an inspirational speech. We have our last 4 giveaways that we are going to do the raffle. I am going to share my screen. And those of you that won earlier, please make sure you private message me and let me know so that we can arrange to get your prize to you. Here we go. Kalila, are you ready?
I'm ready. And the next winner is Jennifer Haywood. Let's give a round of applause for Jennifer Haywood. Who's next? Sharon Christie. Sharon Christie, you won a prize. Remember to put your information in the chat box and direct message Miss Taylor. And let's see. Who's next? Jacqueline Adigwu. Woo! To Jacqueline. Adriana Jocelyn is our last winner. Thank you for participating, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kalila. We want to thank each of you for taking the time out today, for coming and spending time with us and listening to the inspirational words. Thank you again, and we will see you next month. Well, no, sorry, not March, April the 15th at our next AAAC meeting. We hope all of you come out and attend. See you in April.
CJ, good to see you. What's up with you? You're on mute.
You and your husband. In fact, I was
Yes, you
going.
did. You did. I'm gonna call you back.
I thought I was going to say. I thought Shirley called you. Yeah,
I'm gonna call you back.
that's all right. That's okay. I'll see you now. So
I'm
everything.
gonna call you back. Oh, your call. I know. I know. Good to see you. Awesome job, Lisa. Awesome job, Kimberly. Great, great job. Take care, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Dr. Fleming. Thank you for being here.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Kim Taylor. Hi, Kim Taylor. Oh, shoot.
How are you, Uncle CJ?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Good to see you too.
Good to see you too. Thank you for being here tonight.
Well, I couldn't miss this. You guys did a great job. I wish we had this every month instead of once a year.
Thank you. I don't think we can handle it every month, Uncle CJ.
I'll see y'all later. I'm gonna go find something to eat.
I just wish,
Okay,
I just
good
wish
night.
he would allow more time for us to speak,
Well, hey, you